Hey friends, welcome back. My name is Kim. This is Kim Reads and Reviews, and today we're going to be talking about Red Rising by Piers Brown. So I am well over halfway into the second book of the series, and getting as far as I am in the second book has really helped, I think, solidify my thoughts and feelings about the first book. Now, basically, within this world, there is a color scheme. Like the world is split up into like a hierarchy based on your color. And Darrow, who's the main character we're following along with, he's a red. He lives on Mars, and they live in brutal conditions. And his job is to mine for helium-3, I believe it's called, and that basically provides like energy for I think it's like thinking akin to like oil and gas basically, and that's their sole purpose, and they are severely oppressed. They are considered the lowest of low within this society. Golds are considered like the upper echelon in this world. In the second book, we do have a nice visual as far as a hierarchy, and then we also have a character list as well, which was really appreciated. In the first book, we do not have that at all, but I'll just read out to you the description of the gold and reds in this world. So the golds are the fiercely intelligent rulers of humanity. Like they are the top of the pyramid, and then the reds are all the way on the bottom, and they are considered unskilled manual laborers conditioned to brutal environments. And then there's all kinds of colors in between there, and each color serves a specific purpose within this world. In book one, you also meet pinks. Pinks are considered unparalleled in beauty, and they are bred and trained for the physical arts of pleasure. So, and then, there's all these other colors within the world. But basically, what you need to know is that the Reds are within this world. Darrow gets the opportunity he's greeted by the rebellion faction of the Reds, and he is recruited to be changed into a gold. And his job is going to be to infiltrate the gold society and the gold world and really upend it and really kind of change the way that the world operates, because the Reds are tired. They are tired of being oppressed, but then some of them also, this is just kind of like all they know. Like this is all that Darrow has known. And he has a wife, Io, and something happens in this book in the first 75 pages that really triggers Darrow's journey and everything that happens from there on out. I will say in the first 50 pages of this book, I definitely shed a tear, which I did not anticipate. And then the rest of the book, it definitely continues on at a not a breakneck speed, but definitely at a pace that keeps your attention the whole time. My one thing that definitely comes to mind that I want to talk about first within this book is the writing was an adjustment to get used to. I don't quite know how to describe it because, again, I don't have the book with me, unfortunately, but there was definitely this like fragmented style of the writing that took a bit for me to get into a flow with and to wrap my head around. And the sentences aren't necessarily all grammatically perfect or correct. However, I think that was intentionally done on Piers Brown's part. I mean, obviously he wrote an entire book and published it. Like obviously it was intentional. But as I am reading Golden Sun, I think the writing has definitely gotten a little bit better in some ways. But I think that the reason the first book was written in that way is because we're in Darrow's head and in his perspective. And in this world, he's still a red at this point, and he thinks very much like a red. Whereas in this one, this is, I think, a couple years later, and he's very much ingrained in the gold society, ingrained in the gold world. So I am noticing a difference in the writing. Maybe it's in my head. Maybe I've just gotten used to it by this point, but I definitely think I'm seeing a difference in the writing, and I don't know if it's because Darrow's world and mind has now kind of changed, and therefore grammatically in the way he speaks it's changed. So now the way he thinks has changed as well. So anyways, if you've read the books, the series, and you know what I'm talking about, let me know your thoughts down in the comments and see. I'd like to see if other people are noticing the same thing with the books, but I feel like it's something upon reread I'll be able to point to and note a lot better. But anyway, so that was definitely something to get used to and to wrap my head around. It's not bad writing by any means, but it's definitely different from the other books that I had read previously to it, for example. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that, though, the world building itself was definitely very vast. Like, you, as soon as Darrow becomes a gold and takes on the next steps to infiltrate this world, you get a whole slew of character names, of terminology very specific to this world, and then like the world itself, and then there's this house structure as well. So there is a lot going on in this book, and it's under 400 pages. And there was definitely moments where I would finish reading a portion of it, and my fiance, who has read the books already and he's really enjoyed all of them, I'm like, okay, this is what I know is happening. These are all the characters, and I think that this is what their role is, and this is basically like just kind of taking stock of what has happened. And I'm like, can you confirm that I like everything I've said is correct? Because it's just it's a lot that's going on. It definitely took a little bit to wrap my head around, for sure. I would definitely say as well that the writing was occasionally repetitive too. Aside from just adjusting to the writing style, the repetition with certain things in the book was very noticeable after a while. Like, there was these challenges that were happening, and in Darrow's mind, he would say like, "Oh, so and so is so strong and so fast," and then he'd be like, "But I am faster," or like, "But I am stronger," "But I am this," and things like that kind of kept recurring and coming up. And overall, though, I would say that it does eventually come together in the end. You just need to have patience, and that was something my fiance kept saying to me. He's like, "Just keep reading it; it's gonna come together." So I really just had to like get my patience in check and be like, all right, I just need to like not let my brain rot get the best of me and just sit down and wait for Pierce Brown to just dole out the rest of the story and let it all come together. And sure enough, it does. It for sure does. And I think, one of the things that, even though I was saying like the complexity of everything going on, affected my reading experience a little bit. There's more just like a reflection, I think, of me than it is the book itself. Because in some ways, I think the complexity of everything is also this book's strength and why the series is so well loved. And I can definitely see it really paying off in the second book as I continue on, and I'm sure it's going to be that way for the remainder of the books in the series as well. And I will say that I was a little bit worried picking up the second book and maybe not remembering certain things from the first book, because there's a lot that happens. Tiny little details that happen as well. And he does a great job at just kind of gently and seamlessly reminding the reader of the context of whatever happened in the first book in those small details. So, I think that overall it's paying off, and it is all kind of doling out in a way where it's like, okay, it's making sense now. I just need to trust the author to do his job, obviously. Which is silly, but silly of me to say. And then also, I did find by the end of the book, I surprisingly found myself very attached to the characters, the cast of characters in this book. And that continues to be the case within this second book as well. And you meet all the characters in the first book and kind of get to know the houses or the factions that they're in, but their personalities really come to life as the book goes on. And so, yeah, I think that that's also a strength within this as well. So I suppose all in all, what I'm saying is that the first book does require a little bit of patience, especially if you're a reader like me who does not always read sci-fi or gravitate to sci-fi. But have patience, it will all work out and it does all pay off. And I think also if you're somebody who really likes like strategizing that happens in books, or the political politicking of everything going on, this is for sure going to be the series for you. And it definitely increases in depth in this book for sure. So I don't know. I think that this book is, or this series so far, but especially the first book, it's well done. I wouldn't say that it is like my favorite read from this year. I would not say that, but I will say that it is a good setup for the rest of the series so far. I'm only halfway into the second book so far, but I do appreciate everything that Piers Brown did in the first book. And I think that this is a series where you can't just read the first book and not read the rest, even if your reading experience with the first one wasn't like the most impressive or noteworthy thing. So yeah, I think that that's pretty much all that I want to say about Red Rising at this point. Has its pros, has its cons as far as my own reading experience with the story, but overall I'm really enjoying progressing within the series and being within this world. It's vast, but it's also very impressive that Piers Brown had crafted this. So if you're intrigued to read it, give it a go. And yeah, if you're not totally sold on it after the first book, just keep going. It does get a little bit better. I promise. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have read this book and if you really enjoyed it or if you're tempted to pick it up. Just generally what your thoughts are on this. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.